What's up, guys? I am Caleb Giddings,
And I am Keith.
And I'm Jack.
and we'd like to thank all of our sponsors for supporting Gunday Brunch, and you can view a title card of them right there. All right, now that we've got that part of the event done, we're just going to jump right into the news.
Shameless
And
I
right? Like,
remember when news would do that? Like there was like the cut card of like Action 5 News.
The angry beeping. Breaking
remember,
news this moment.
What was the movie? Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow had that like
fantastic shitty movie.
Yes.
Honestly, one of the best
great terrible movie.
Yeah, one of the best B movies ever made. And it's good, and I'll say this, because at no point does it take itself too seriously. If that movie had taken itself just like a little bit more seriously, it would have been ass. But it doesn't, so it's good.
It also looks terrible.
It is, yeah. It's very much a product of that time when people were like, "We're going to CGI
secondary
everything."
studio.
Which, as a related question, before we get to today's topics, how is it that the CGI in the Hobbit movies looks worse than the CGI in the Lord of the Rings movies, which came out earlier?
Because they got lazy.
Look at the Hobbit trilogy is for children.
Agreed.
The Lord of the Rings is more young adult oriented, and they spent some more money on it. The art style of The Hobbit is very much like if you are 14 and under, this movie's for you.
Okay, that's fair, and that might have been why I didn't vibe with it as much because I was 30 something when they came out.
Like if you look at like
that era where practical effects were, they still tried to do as much practical effects stuff as they could in the movie, which actually gave them their CG. It compressed their CG budget, and they were able to do better with the scenes that were actually CG versus everything they could with a practical effect.
I will also tell you that I am a fan of Weta Studios, the people who do the practical and special effects for those movies, and we have some of their like insider stories about like their costuming. One of the dwarves, I forget which one, is wearing a Egyptian cotton shirt that is 200 years old. It is his undershirt. It's not on screen. Each one of the dwarves have everything you see on them is specifically tailored for that character, including things in backpacks
that you never see.
That you'll never see. They also, at a point, were like, well, Bilbo. Yeah, is supposed to slide down this mountain of gold. And they're like, we can't special effect that. We're going to have to practical it. But none of the painted coins looks right. Like, it doesn't have that dull luster that gold is supposed to have. So Jackson just went, well, then get gold coins. So when you see him slide down this gold mountain, it's on green screen stuff, but he's writing gold down. And in the book, like, this is part of an interview. The interviewer's like, what? How much gold? And he's like, a couple of thousand coins, honestly. And
so
they're
how
many are left? Like, where are these? And he's like, we've got about 500 left. And they're like, 500 left out of a couple of thousand? He goes, honestly. And he Peter Jackson opens up his drawer and dumps like 20 on. He's like, I stole a bunch. What was I going to say?
Right. I took it too.
I don't know if that's true, but it should be. That's in a book about what they've done. I will say that the practical effects in the Lord of the Rings are much better, but it was also much more expensive. If you wanted to make a quick cash grab film.
Also, like you pointed out, a more serious project. And I love how we derailed the gun podcast by talking about Lord of the Rings, because we are at our hearts nerds first.
Oh, super nerds.
Also, if you want a really good example of this, take a look at Jurassic Park 1 versus Jurassic World. JP1 still looks fantastic. I watched it this week. Also, the amount of time between dinosaurs have broken out, I should get a gun, traumatized me as a child, and that's why I am the way I am today. It is a day and a half before Muldoon is like, I'm gonna
Maybe
go shotgun
I
out.
should grab that there
What?
shotgun.
Right? Why he
Muldoon,
doesn't have?
why are we waiting so long?
Why that man doesn't have a 458 with like ready to go, like a bolt gun with Ashley Express sights?
Bro, he went out to like look for these people
without a
gunless.
gun.
What do you have? I have a flashlight. That's what, and a 5-speed manual Jeep.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Hey, don't hate on the 5-speed manual Jeeps. I have one of those.
Meanwhile, I have to give credit to the third movie, as awful as that one was. They land and the dude gets off with a 50 cal. Like, no, I know what's here.
He's like,
I know what's here. This Barrett be coming with me.
And also, I do have to give credit to Chris Pratt's character for being like, let's just have a gun. Let's have a gun. We should. That's
yeah, he was kind of a hippie.
Yeah, he was, but he had a gun because he understands dinosaurs sometimes need a bullet, and nothing says dinosaur killing like 45-70.
Is T-Rex rated?
It is. I love that.
That's one of my favorite things Henry ever did was put the little T-Rex symbol.
That was Marlin. That was the dearly departed Marlin.
Not the optic I would have chosen. If we're going to depart from this even further, which we're already off on this, if I'm hunting dinosaurs, it's a red dot. It's a red dot all day long, guys.
I need field of view. Especially
you're
if we're
not,
hunting.
You're not lining up a quick shot on a tiny animal, 300 yards away with your 45-70. You're snap shooting the giant angry lizard.
You're shooting a school bus. Let's be
right.
Wait, hang on, not a school bus, guys. That was bad. Bad example.
Garbage truck.
Don't clip that, guys. Please, internet. No, but seriously, like if we're doing a best gun for dinosaur, and we're you have to sort of like confine yourself to some fictional universe's dinosaur rules, because obviously we know absolutely fuck all about how dinosaurs actually behaved. But if we're confining ourselves to sort of the fictional dinosaur behavior of the Jurassic Park verse, then I actually question a lever action 45-70 for a world where things like velociraptors exist, because those bitches are fast, right? I want rounds, and I hate to say it, but do I want a 308? Is that kind of like for a velociraptor is like a person size?
Something
in a world where 6.5 Creedmoor exists.
Now, there you go.
And we spared no expense. I'm running around with a 6.5 Creedmoor SBR.
Yep.
Living my best life.
Yes. Something very high velocity that can punch through
put a suppressor
that
on
predator grade dense muscle and bone and fuck shit up. That's yes.
So also, wait, did they make a Scar in 6.5 Creedmoor?
They do.
They do.
Yeah, there you go. Scar 6.5 Creedmoor. We have nailed the what gun for Velociraptor right there.
No, that's Velociraptors. That's your medium-sized, Triceratops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, it probably won't kill a T-Rex, but I don't think anything short of like RPGs will.
I mean, with the T-Rex, you're definitely going to need to go up to like your, African, buffalo rifles, right?
I don't
like
think that's going to do it.
You really?
No,
I mean,
they're
probably
bigger than elephants.
Probably getting into light armor.
Yeah, like we're not talking about a bull elephant here. We're talking about a creature twice the size of a bull elephant.
Right, and we really have no idea what skin density or musculature is like.
Right, like I'm just not. Ballistic is right out. We are going to go to rocket assisted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking on a T-Rex. Well, okay, hold on.
I think HEAP will do it. I don't think we need to go to, HEDP or anything crazy like that. I think a standard, high explosive, armor penetrating round, RPG-7. I think a law is a perfect option.
20 millimeter, you're probably good. If you're at the 20 millimeter level, you're probably good.
I think you would probably good with 50 cal. All right, like 50 cal with the right round.
You're gonna have to brain pan that thing.
50 cal will do light armor,
or a lot into that chest cavity. Many
a Modus, not a Barrett.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about a vehicle mounted 50 cal. All right, as you're driving away from it, you're going, yeah, just giving him all of the bullets.
I think
as you constantly scream for ammo and are just handed
where they tried that. And it's funny. If I recall correctly, which I probably don't, I think there were scenes in 2 where they tried that because they had technicals and they had vehicle mount, and like every vehicle mounted gunner is just absolutely inept bullshit in that movie, and it's just like, wow, why'd you all get picked for this job?
It's the inevitable thing of like, okay, I've got to go to the dinosaur island. All right, who are we hiring? Well, when it comes down to like, who can you hire right away? Who's willing to take a gun and go someplace really dangerous? It's not the best of the best. Here's a little inside. Here's a little inside secret, guys. You can get good, you can get cheap, and you can get fast. But you got to pick 2 out of the 3. And when it comes to mercenaries, good isn't that great of an option.
Yeah. You're telling me Blackwater's not signing up for this one.
Yeah, like, and here's the thing. If you want really good mercenaries, they exist. It takes a while. You got to get those guys out of their, like, civilian life. They got to do a little bit of a train up. They got to work together. You got to get all this stuff together. Then they can go and do something. That does exist. That has happened. But if you want quick and fast, it's
you're hiring the friggin' Mogadishu market special right there. Like, hey guys, I got $500. You all want to get on this boat and not ask a lot of questions? Here's some AKs.
If you want to get the real world equivalent of the Wolf's Dragoons, and if anyone can name that deep cut in the comments, then of course you can. Like that's expected in this group. But if you want to get the real world version of those guys, take some time. And those guys probably aren't. Those guys are going to do a risk analysis of going to Dinosaur Island and being like, this juice may not be worth the squeeze for us.
Actually, of all the people that I think are like ready for like Dinosaur Island, it's Wolf Dragoons.
Well, yeah, but that's because they have battle mechs. All right, I'm talking about like take that concept out of BattleTech and throw it into BattleTech. That was a great fictional universe. Like
it's
that.
Still going.
Well, I know it's still going, but like I fell out of it after they defeated the clans in like when they invaded clan space and defeated them.
God,
and then,
you missed out on Word of Blake then.
And no, I know I got all the word. I got the Word of Blake stuff, but I didn't.
Word of Blake's post clan though.
Oh wait, so was that when they had like all like the hyperspace infrastructure got destroyed and they couldn't?
No, that's that is pre-clan. I think it's Dark Age 2 is what they ended up.
They did a post after Prince Davian becomes Star-Lord, or is that what they call it? Becomes, super boss guy and takes the invasion and invades clan space and kicks their ass. Pratt. Yeah. After he does that and kicks the clan's ass, then they kind of took a break and then they did they jumped it forward in time a whole bunch. And
I'm gonna pause right here. If you have no idea what we're doing or talking about, and you like Game of Thrones level intrigue in a Star Wars style setting, I want you to punch up TED Talks BattleTech in YouTube. Pause what we're doing and go check this guy out
right now.
This guy does multi-hour long breakdowns of some of the coolest science fiction that's ever been in history. The only reason BattleTech is not bigger is because of a lot of licensing issues that happen. But it is really well done. Highly recommended. Also, to the large number of people who reached out to me,
writers who love this source material doing this stuff. Like we would just be like, I'm never leaving HBO.
The amount of people who reached out to me and were like, I watched my first anime because you recommended Edge Runners. Thank you. 10 out of 10. Welcome to Major League, guys.
Fantastic.
There we go. There's a shout out for you for another show, Edge Runners on Netflix, which I'm going to start today. So
BattleTech was so good, and it was a shame because they never got. I think one of the other things that hurt it in the long run was there was never a truly mainstream successful visual medium adaptation of it. And I mean, and again, due to complicated licensing issues, the lawsuit with Robotech, the fact that one of the companies that owned the IP fucking went out of business for a while, like just, it was one of those where the universe was so great and so expansive and there were so many great stories. And I'm sure, and as you said, it's still going, but it just never
that's one of the saddest things about some of these off-brand media and off-brand storytelling is there's a lot of good work out there that unfortunately falls prey to the fact that there's a lot of legal shit that has to get done before we get to see a screen adaptation or even like a good published book from a big mainstream publisher. Like,
and let's be honest,
there's a lot that has to go on, a lot of checks in boxes that have to go on before we get to see some of this stuff. And it unfortunately screens out a lot of really good, really fun media that we don't get to play with.
Hold on. Speaking of checks boxes.
Boxes. All right. I was going to pivot to Mech Warrior Mercenaries and talk about autocannons and shit, but that's a better one. So
that
at some point, guys.
Honestly, my brain was like, why did that hurt my... What? Oh, the thing we were originally going to talk about.
All right, so guys,
the topic of the episode.
We're going to talk
the
about
greatest new drop of all time.
Oh no, the title of this episode is "What Gun for T-Rex" for sure. So let's talk about this. So there's a news story, and if you haven't read this news story, I don't know what planet you've been on. I made a meme about this that was hilarious. So what we did. What you see what happened was this couple orders some milsurp M16 crates. And when they get these milsurp M16 crates, and if you've never seen these crates before, I've had to unfortunately deal with them a lot. It's a big double-sided green case. It holds 6 guns in one side, 6 guns in the other side. You undo the latches and kind of flip it over, right? When they opened up these crates,
they're really big. They get put onto the surplus market all the time as they get demilled by units. Like I think 4 or 5 times from my Marine Corps unit alone, we had a day where it's like, all right, get all the junior enlisted in here. Give me 15 of these guys. We're all going to toss these on a truck so they can go get sold because we're not using them anymore.
Pretty much.
What happened in this case?
What happened in this case is when this couple opened them up, inside were some really nice looking M16A2s. And I mean, those things looked like they had not been shot a lot. They looked real pretty. And then in a thing that makes absolutely no sense to me, they told people about it. They told people that they had found a bunch of machine guns. And here's the thing. All right, so look, damn, you don't want to own unregistered machine guns. I get it. A lot of legal things. Okay. Just imagine we said all of the legal shit that we're supposed to say. Okay. Now let's talk about crime, because how this works.
Now that we have given our NFA disclaimer, you will go to prison. Now let's pretend you don't.
No one would have been looking for those guns.
No.
Those guns were written off by Big Army. They said, and someone somewhere had filled out paperwork that said that those guns were demilled and destroyed, all right, or had been sold to Bolivia or whatever country we sell.
And guys, if you don't believe this, we've done this for nuclear weapons.
Yeah, for the record,
there are written off nuclear weapons right now.
I've done this for M16s where I fill out paperwork and I ship them back to DRMO, and then DRMO does whatever they do with them, and at some point, the gun ceases to exist, right? In the eyes of the U.S. government, whether it's destroyed or sold to, a partner nation or not a partner nation, whatever. Then in the eyes of the government, that gun doesn't exist. They still have serial numbers and records, but they're not going to come looking for it.
No one's going to. It's no longer the government's problem. Right. The government doesn't
CID
care.
is not going to turn up at your door and be like,
"It's done on this thing." It's not their problem anymore.
CID was never going to turn up at this couple's door and be like, knock, 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 we're here for those M16s. All right. So it was an example of where if they had wanted to keep a couple of crates full of just magical mystery M16s and, arm your Citizens Defense Brigade or do whatever with them, you could have. Now, the problem is
or just go ham and burn out some barrels, whatever you want to do. This is the ultimate example of nobody was looking for these guns until you spoke up and did the
and now you've ruined some lives.
Said, hey, there were M16s in here, and the ATF is going, damn it.
So, and because here's the sort of corollary to that, to what Jack just said, having ruined some lives. Now the Army cares about these guns. They didn't care about them when they didn't exist, but now they're going to get a full accounting of those serial numbers, and they're going to have somebody go all the way back through all of this paperwork until they find out who fucked it up. And I hope that whoever fucked it up has retired already or gotten out. And you're
That
kind
doesn't
of
save you.
it does. It
No.
doesn't legally save you, but it probably will in this case because the army will probably just be like, well, it was a mistake and he's out, so we're not going to fuck this guy's life up.
There are hopefully enough barriers between we wrote off these guns and these crates, and nobody bothered to check that they were all empty, to whatever people were the ones who were doing that. Hopefully there are enough barriers in place that it's like, this is not a problem.
We've all done the thing where it's like manual labor time, we're all going to move a bunch of stuff, right? We've all done that, right?
Yeah.
I've done with crates. I have certainly in my life been in a job lifting 100 things, and on 97 you're like, whoa, that doesn't feel right.
That's a lot heavier than the other ones.
Hey, Bob, open this thing up, which doesn't require a key, and let's take a gander at what's in it. No one thought to look.
That's the craziest thing, is that in the amount of time...
M16s weigh 8 pounds each, so 12 of them will change the weight of that crate significantly.
And that's the craziest thing to me, too, is that the whole time these crates have been floating around on the surplus market, nobody cracked them open. Nobody was let's see what's on the inside.
These had to have landed several places before getting on the market to be like, hey, here's 100 crates, unless they were all palleted up.
Or what if these weren't the only ones and somebody did crack them open? Like,
hey, I'm willing to bet that a lot of private Duffies in the world have things they shouldn't have.
I don't know anything about any of that stuff.
No, I'm also going to guess that somewhere in the world right now, there's a nebulous-looking guy, probably about 27 years old, graduated from a good college, not a great college. He's a little brighter than average, who's sitting in a third world shithole right now, looking at an empty crate that's supposed to be arming a series of guerrillas that he's been funding. And he's stuck here in a moment where he's like, 0 crates.
5 stones.
I was really supposed to trade some M16s for cocaine to fund some things that we're not supposed to talk about.
Oh my god! Oh, that is actually also
we got our three-letter agencies crossed here, ladies and gentlemen.
That is
whoopsie.
That's actually not an unreasonable presumption on what was supposed to happen to these guns. Was they're supposed to get disappeared, and then Private Snuffy was like, "Yeah, crate A goes on that truck, and crate B goes on that truck," and they got on the wrong trucks.
Yeah, because Private Snuffy doesn't care which crate is crate.
No, Private Snuffy had no reason to care. He was just told, make these go away by Corporal or Sergeant what the fuck, and that's what he did. He was like, all right, fine.
Yeah, he was like, get these crates on a truck.
And when the privates got to the heavy crate, they had already been told like 6 times, I don't give a fuck, make them go on the truck. So they were like, all right, well, the heavy one goes too. That's what happened.
Oh, 100%. It is,
like there is nothing the military is better at than making the junior enlisted not give a fuck about a thing that they probably should. like suspiciously weighted crates.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, there's no part of me that thinks it was malicious in any way, shape, or form, right? I have no.
The odds of this literally being exactly that, like, all of these crates were supposed to be decommed, or most of them were supposed to be decommed. A crate that still had 16s in it that were going to one of the depot level maintenance places to get decommissioned, got in the wrong pile because it's the same crate and they just weren't done with it yet. And they got some guy who didn't give a fuck, who got told to just move the shit happened there. And it then ended up on a FedEx truck to these fine folk in Texas who were then like, M16s. I should talk about these with someone in the authorities.
Also, if you guys don't know, this happens more than anyone wants to talk about.
No, this happens a lot.
So, like, if your question is, Jack, I have 50, 60 grand in inheritance money, I don't really know what to do with it. You could decide to become a gambler. And I think there are a couple of forms of gambling in the world. You could go to Vegas and lose all your money, and maybe you get a little bit of money in return. That's fine. Or you can buy military surplus containers and spin the wheel, because the shit that we know have turned up in these things is fucking wild.
Especially if you have that 50 to 60 and you're buying on the pallet level. Like if you're just buying eight,
oh my god,
odds
it's
are nothing.
so insane.
But if you're buying pallet level surplus, odds get better.
I know a guy who it's his thing that he looks for certain size crates, and he's like above a certain size crate in a DMRO like auction has a really good chance of having something expensive in it. And he has made bank off this. He had one that had an entire mill. Like, this is a CNC mill that they pack up, ship someplace, repack, send back. We've gone so many places. He was like, yeah, that covered my nut for the whole year.
Yeah,
when I sold that on the open
market.
So I
got a CNC mill.
And you get things like, I know like a couple of Humvees have gotten sold where they had ordnance in the back of them.
Again, that's a shut up. And
I have heard a story in when we, like in this world, when this gets talked about, there's a story of a University of Florida professor buying 2 large crates that he thought had machining in them, and they turned out to have torpedoes in them.
That one I would call about. I would be like, can
well,
I get like
so
a
the story goes
that?
2 different ways.
That's not something I can really use.
I've heard the same story like 6 times, so it's probably a C story at this point. But it has 2 variants of it, and I've noticed that either 6 times I've heard it 4 ways, I've heard it 2 ways. 4 ways, they're unarmed. There's basically like no cone of boom boom on it. And he calls and they come and get picked up.
Yep, it's just
the other
body.
2, they were nukes. Now, I know what you're thinking.
X to doubt, but
but do you though?
We have
lost 52 of them.
We have lost nuclear weapons before, so maybe.
I actually I posted about that earlier. I'm like, guys, if you think this is a rare occurrence or a really big deal, you don't want to start digging into how often it happens and with what grade of weapons.
I mean, if you guys want to read like a butthole puckering story, go research. So the Air Force, we have like MAGCOMs, right? One of them is Global Strike Command. Global Strike Command is responsible for all of like our nuclear weapons and stuff like that in the Air Force. Global Strike Command exists as a MAGCOM because we lost a fucking nuke. All right. We just flew a nuke to somewhere it wasn't supposed to be and parked it on an airfield and left it unsecured on the runway. And this, it wasn't like a little bitty, like like tactical nuke. This was like a city killing nuke. This was a nuke that would not, you don't want to hit like, Indianapolis or whatever.
My favorite one is the one they yeeted into the practice range. And then my other favorite one is the one where the bay malfunctioned and they thought they had a practice round on board. And so they drop it like, hey, no big deal. This is just a dud. They get back and like the chief in charge of the ordnance is like, oh, thank God you're back. Where'd it go?
Where Gunday está el bomba.
And the pilot's like, oh yeah, the bay doors and the latches were getting all weird, so we just dropped it. No big deal, right? And they're like, kind of a big deal.
Very big deal.
We've got 2 that are missing off the coast of Georgia, and they're like, it's roughly somewhere in this 50-mile range. I'm like, that's a range you search. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I know back in the 50s, you guys thought you'd be dropping these all the time, but they're kind of a big deal nowadays. You got to be careful.
I'd like to know where that one is. All right, so that's about it for this episode, guys. If you find M16s, do what you feel in your heart is the right thing to do. And that's really all I'm going to say about that. And I do want to give an announcement. So I have not yet picked 2 winners for the slide milling contest because of the timing when we filmed this episode. I want to give that episode a little bit more time to get more comments. So not this episode, but next episode, I will announce our winners for the best comments in the slide milling contest. You still have time to do that. All right. So go and tell me what cool gun you want to see made. I will say the guy who said a modern interpretation of the Delisle carbine he's got a strong chance because Delisle carbines are fucking cool.
Way to play to the hipster in the crew.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
judging like
The
Knowing
number
your
of
audience
comments where people are
is
just
in
like,
fact
I
a
just,
thing.
the number of comments that are very clearly pandering to me, where they're like, I just want a 3-inch 327 Magnum with good sights and optics ready. And I'm like, you're just pandering to the judge at this point, and you're not wrong. So, but all
I'm
right,
not
guys.
going to say you're wrong for doing it. I am going to say I see you doing it.
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys, that is it for this week. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, abduct people, and force them to listen to episodes while they're in the trunk of your car.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft, right, in Minecraft. And this week's Pearl of Wisdom that I got from the internet is Minecraft is proof that banning child labor was wrong and children yearn for the mines. Thanks, guys. We will be back next week.